So Ohio State did beat Rutgers this weekend. And, Bob, there are all kinds of questions about why Carnell Tate didn't play.
Because he's hurt?
That's what I'm like. That is the
It's amazing. Someone told me that his agent was holding him out to preserve his draft
That's
stock.
what people, yes.
And he's like, I heard that. I'm like, that's interesting. I was like, I would love to hear where you heard it from.
Right. Well, you heard from somebody.
Of course.
Somewhere.
My
Word on the street.
My father-in-law is the worst perpetrator of false information ever. Fake news. He's like, I heard, I'm like, and my wife will be like, where'd you hear that, Dad? Well, people are saying. I'm like, she's like I mean, is that real? Like, because you heard somebody say that at the Knights of Columbus and that became the gospel? Or like, you overheard someone talk about it on the radio, so then it became the truth? I mean, I was like, I love you, Ralph. You're the best. Like, this is interesting. But someone messaged us, like, you must have better sources than me. I don't know. I mean, I did talk to Carnell and give him a hug after the game. Like, yeah. Like, I don't think I'm not gonna ever tell anybody what I'm not gonna ever say. Like, there's certain conversations that you always keep private. But there's certain things there that you see. There's a sign, in the team room. Well, there was a sign in New England that say what you see in here and say in here stays in here. And I think that there is truth to that. And so I try to give people a little window into things and talk. But and I'm not sitting here saying that I know everything about everything by any stretch. But Carnell's journey here at Ohio State's been very interesting. He's obviously a very talented guy, Chicago kid. I know he's got a great relationship with Hart and all the other guys in the room. And he he lost his mother, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's the big game against Northwestern, right?
I think 2 years ago she was murdered up in Chicago. And it was very devastating as it would be for anybody, but I think Ohio State from that point on, those guys are his family. So I don't subscribe to the theory that he is sitting out to preserve, anything about his draft stock or this or that. He's played well enough to be a first rounder. Now he's not going to play. Like, I don't think that's the case at all in this situation. At least from the people that I've talked to and the people that I understand that are close to it. I'm hoping he plays this week. I think he's actively trying to get back. And I know that this means a lot to him as well on a personal level.
Totally off subject. Not totally. Kind of off subject here, Bob. I'll play Ryan Day sound, I promise. But is it, for you, is it a fine line you walk? Because like you said, the locker room sign in New England, what's said in here stays in here, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. And I know that you are, you have a lot more exposure, I think, than anybody else here at the station has to the Ohio State program. Is that fair to say, you think, as far as like the knowing, but just because of relationships you have with people there and your history there, I would think that you have, I don't know if access is the right word.
Played with a couple of, well, I mean, just, yeah.
Okay.
Access is probably a good way to put it. I mean,
but do you ever have to balance that? Like, because things that someone might say to you.
You think I tell you everything that I see? Like,
I don't think you do. No,
yeah,
I don't think you do.
Don't.
And I don't blame you for that, Bob. But I'm saying, like, is that a difficult line to walk for you sometimes?
Yeah, I think that there is a challenge with it of doing this and then obviously being around and seeing a lot of things, hearing a lot of things, having conversations, and having people's trust of understanding when, they talk to you about things, understanding without implicitly asking. And there's times where I will ask about, is this something that you want to be public or not? And, understanding that if I can't read into it, and there's things that and you see, and you're like, especially the injury stuff of, what guys are doing. Like if Ryan wanted it out there, he would
right.
say it himself. So, or Carnell would come out and say, like, it's not my place to tell their story. I can tell like what I suspect and what I think and allude to things, which is what I try to do. But I don't think that there's a challenge with it. But I mean, hell, I've been doing this now for 10, 11, 12, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years. I think I've found a pretty good balance of how to handle it.
Because you get stuff sometimes, like, God, it's a good thing I don't have this cross to bear. But, like, sometimes you will get unfiltered things that you might get somebody an emotional statement they might make to you because they're talking to Bobby, not Bobby Carpenter in the media. They're talking to you. Yeah. And so you might get
because they're a friend. Like,
yes,
when I consider someone a friend,
yes,
there's a confidence that comes with that need not be violated.
Yeah.
And, like, when you break someone's trust, it takes years to build and moments to break. And so it's something that you always have to make sure that you're cognizant of as you're walking through it. And like I said, I don't. That's why I always say I never speak for anybody. Based upon what I hear people say and how they interact and what they do and what I've seen, I'll kind of give a theory or my idea of what I think is going to happen. But I'm not going to say with any degree of certainty with that unless I've ever asked somebody directly of what they're going to do and why they're doing it.
And I don't want to be irresponsible, but somebody told me they heard you told Carnell Tate not to play. Any accuracy with that or not?
No, I wouldn't have.
Okay.
Well, maybe Saturday I would have.
Okay. Anyway, here's Ryan Day talking
about. If you would have asked me, I would have said, "Hey, you don't need to play in this one, big dog. Like, let's keep working. Let's keep getting." By the way, when you don't play your two best receivers, everybody complains about the game, and then you still cover the number. Like,
42, right? It's
let's just chill out.
Yeah. Here's Ryan Day talking about thoughts already have turned to Michigan.
Yeah, they're always in the back of our mind in terms of what we're working towards. We know this is the last game of the year and what it means to everybody here. So, it doesn't take long in the fourth quarter once the game was in hand to, everybody start figuring out, this thing's coming fast, and it was just a good look in everybody's eye in the locker room, man. We're excited about this one, and just need to focus on what really matters, and that's everybody just doing their job, and going on the road and. What's going to be a great environment and going to get it done. So that'll be the focus, and we'll continue to do what we've done all year. That's it, and have a great week and focus on that day. And the coach's job, is to give them a great plan. And we got to be at our best. Everybody has to be at their best and play really, really hard.
And he alluded later on to about the fact they're not changing the routine this week.
No, you develop your routine, and the routine becomes the routine. And that's what makes you successful is. Your habits and patterns are what you lean into when everything else is going crazy, and the preparation is really what sets you apart. So you want to keep that consistent. The whole year you constantly tweak, and you're constantly tweaking it to make sure that it's exactly what you want. But once you get it there, you're always trying to improve and all those different things. But once you have it there, man, you roll with it, and you don't want to change that up too much. And there's certain things that do come with this week, but you don't need to be, changing it up and going crazy with it by any stretch. Gosh, where was this? I just saw something. Oh, it's like Michael Jordan said, pressure isn't real. It's just the echo of the work you didn't do. So if you do the same work every week and take care of business, you're fine with things.
So when the routine thing, yes. Okay, so the plan is you don't change the routine this week. You keep what you've been doing.
Yeah.
When you go into the practice, when you're watching practice this week, though, isn't it going to be a different vibe? I mean, same routine, but is it? And I wonder how will Ryan Day or how can a coach manage that to where, because you don't want your guys peaking on Tuesday. You know what I mean? You don't want to have it be so.
Listen, they'll do the same thing they've always done. Tuesday's practices are incredibly intense and physical. They're going to have that same element with it. And then they're going to do the same thing they do on Wednesday. And maybe there's a little, the intensity is ramped up a little bit.
Okay.
But you don't want to just abort everything that you've done that's gotten you to this point. There's a reason why you've had that level of success. And that was the case with Tress, too. Everybody thinks that Michigan Week was some sort of different deal. Okay. Maybe you try to watch an extra 15 minutes of film a day. It's going to give you an extra hour, basically, as you go into the week. And Sunday. Is that going to be the difference? Maybe. But it's not like you're going to say, well, I haven't been watching film, now I'm going to watch film. Or, I did this, now I'm going to do that. No, you with what you've done to prepare you to get to this point, you just do the same thing, and maybe you try to do it with a greater degree of focus and intensity. But, I mean, that's basically it.
So I've never asked you this, Bob. I don't know the answer to this question. How does it, what happens, does anything change? I know you said routine. Yes, I get all that. But it's Thanksgiving week. Does that alter what
Yeah.
they do at all because of the fact I know that family's big. I know Ryan Day preaches family, and I get all that. But I mean, is there something they do differently on Thursday? Like, will they do something differently into
They
Thursday?
don't, well, number one, you don't have school, so if they don't have school, they practice earlier.
Okay,
Remember, they don't have class. Like, that's the reality of whether it was Veterans Day or
Right.
any other Labor Day or whatever it may have been. If you don't have school, they're able to practice earlier because nobody has anything.
Right.
So, like, what are we going to sit around all day and wait? Like, we have to normally wait because of class.
right.
So let's get in here, get it figured out. And, like, so I think they usually get guys out of there a little earlier. You know, they've moved senior tackle, which there was a lot of people that were furious about that. And I'm like, why?
Right.
They're like, well, it's always been Michigan week. I'm like, yeah, because Michigan was the last game.
It was, yes.
It's not the last game anymore. Oh, and by the way, your last game, as to my last game, was before Thanksgiving.
Right.
So that last Thursday, you could sit out there. And I still remember talking to my dad last night about it. We went to the stadium. And we sat out there with Tress. And, you know, you're going through senior day. I mean, you're all sweaty, worked up. And then you go out and we sat. I mean, I was freezing by the end because you're sweaty and then you've been sitting there for an hour on a cold bench and everybody's going through their whole process. And, you know, you have 17, 18 seniors and, you know, you spend a couple minutes with each one. Next thing you know, you're an hour in.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was all part of it. So it was a big deal. But it was a different time. They changed the calendar. So now, like, I talked to Ryan and some of the guys about it when they were going to do it. Like, do it after. Like, Michigan's not the last game. You're hopefully playing in the Big Ten Championship, and
Sure.
then you have the playoffs. So when you have time, now they do it. Parents come in, former players come back, and they watch and, you know, do it sometime, you know, before the games start ratcheting up in the playoff. I'm like, that's fine, because there's still more time left with that. You know, they moved the band. Script Ohio dotting and going through all that. They moved that back a couple weeks ago,
Right.
and have that done already. And, like, I don't know why that's essential to be done on Michigan week. You know, it's not really. So do it sometime, honor the band, and make sure there's that connection there the way there always was. But now Sunday night, it was a big deal. Like, but if you want to bring in like a speaker or something, or guys come in and talk like during a team meeting, like, I get that. We used to always have Bruce come in. And it was awesome. And Earl would come in there and go crazy and get fired up and talk about how much the game meant. And you'd laugh and, like, have fun and, like, realize that loves Ohio State more than anything in the world. And then you'd move on. And you'd go practice and prepare and try to do the things you need to do to make sure that you get the win.
Ryan always say we're going to do senior practice after we win the national championship. We'll do it then. After we win it, come back here to Columbus. We'll do it then. Lean into it, Bob.
If you're doing it then, because everybody's leaving. Like, so you got another problem with that. But figure out appropriate times. I think they've handled everything very well.
Chat Hall of Famer TE 2013 wants to know, does Ryan Day have a mother-in-law suite at his house that Chip can live in for the next 2 months?
You know, after just seeing this and talking with you guys this morning, we came in, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Chip came in and was working, you know, as an analyst role and some sort of a non-specific assistant, just
Right.
kind of consulting with them. I don't know if he'll be here today.
Yeah.
You know, given, you know, all that just went down, he may want to take a couple of days off, and maybe he just wants to go out and hang out in California with his wife, and that he's entitled to do that too. But I guarantee you, Ryan is probably making that call to at least gauge interest if that's something that should
Another
be
set
a
of
part
eyes, right? Another
Yeah.
set of eyes can't hurt. Chip Kelly's eyes can't hurt. Not that he's had any issues with the offense, but I'm saying Chip Kelly, though, if he wants to do that. And by the way, I can't help but notice, Bob, at least last time I checked, you no longer have any European men living with you. Maybe you've got room in Casa de Carpenter.
I don't know if he's selling it. He sell his house. I'm like, well, I think Patricia's living in the house that he used to live in. I think he sold it to him. So maybe there's space there. I don't know.
Would you be surprised if whenever Penn State makes their hire, Jim Knowles gets a situation where he may get let go?
Well, I was curious about that because he has a situation, you know, similar to Chip. I mean, they gave him a 3-year, $3 million a year deal.
Right.
So they're going to have to buy him out and pay him out if you're expecting to do that. Now, I don't know if he's expecting to be retained, if they've told him, you know, the coach that comes in. But any coach that gets there, maybe they would keep him, but they at least want to have the option. If you're telling me I have to keep this guy,
right,
I'm not taking that job.
Yeah, you want to give the new guy coming in the opportunity to make the decision. That's what I think as well.
It's my staff.
Yeah.